Hey friends, so let's get started with Redux Saga now. And here I have opened up the Redux Saga documentation, which is a really good, provides a really great explanation of what Redux Sagas are. And so we already know that Redux Saga is a library that makes our application side effects really simple. And we can visualize Saga as a separate thread in your application, which is like solely responsible for managing these side effects. So you can go over these some introduction about Redux Saga in the documentation. It's really simple to go over with, and let's look into how we actually use the Redux Sagas here. And here, yeah, so here is the usage example. And so yeah, this is a user component, and here we have a method on this component. It's called on some button clicked, and whenever we are clicking on the button, we want to dispatch an action called user fetch requested. And in order to handle this action, we usually catch in these actions with the reducers. And if you want to do some async action here, we usually use thunks if you're using Redux thunk. But now we are going to actually create a saga which will listen for actions such as these and then handle those accordingly. So usually we divide our sagas into two parts. Like one is a watcher saga, which will kind of listen to what actions are dispatched and handle them accordingly. And a watcher saga then invokes a worker saga to take on the further work from there. So let's look into how we can use these. And for that, we will need to actually use the Saga Redux Saga middleware. And here in the documentation, let me see. Yeah. So we need to create Saga middleware from Redux Saga first. So I'll import this. And then since this gives us a function that we have to execute to get the Saga middleware. So inside my configure store, I'm going to use this function here. And since this is a middleware, so we'll actually have to use apply middleware from Redux. So you can find this in the Redux docs as well. So it just takes in a middleware, and we just strap our middleware with this function and pass it to the store. So I'll use apply middleware from Redux, and now I just need to pass it to my store. So apply middleware, and I'll pass in Saga middleware here. And one more thing we have here is a DevTools extension. So we also want to combine this into the store. So for that, we need a utility from Redux. It's called Compose, and it lets us combine multiple things into a store. So I'll just move these two into my Compose code. Yeah, I'll add in a comma here. So yeah, these are the two parameters for Compose, and I'll just hit save. So after we pass in the Saga middleware to the store, we have to then run the Saga with this command. So after my store, before I return my store, I'm going to just run the Saga using the Saga middleware. And here you can see we have some my Saga here. So here, this is the part where we are going to pass in our Saga. So let's call this our root Saga, and we'll actually import this. We'll create this root Saga, and we're going to import this from somewhere. So let's create our first Saga here. So I'm going to create a file inside a directory called Sagas. So let me call the file index.js, and here let me create a generator function first. So I'll call this root Saga, and let's just do a console log here. So console log hey world, and I'll just default export this back. So export default root Saga. And now in my store, I'm going to import this So import root saga from /sagas. So this should give me back my root saga here, and now it will be running here. So here's my application, and I'm going to open up the tools here. So yeah, let me just dock them to the bottom. Yep. So here we have got the hey world from a root saga. So it's good, like this means our saga is running. So now let's dive more into the concepts of sagas. And we have just a simple saga running here. And as I mentioned, like usually we have a watcher saga running, and then when a particular action is dispatched, we kind of want to respond to it in a fashion that's suited for that saga, which will then again call a worker saga. So the flow goes like, we have a watcher saga, which then listens to an action, and it will invoke the worker saga correspondingly. So this is something like which we'll try to incorporate here. And for that, let me just modify this root saga a bit, and let me also introduce the concept of effects. So Redux Saga provides us some helpers which are called effects, and these are like nothing fancy things. They're just simple objects, and they convey a special meaning to the Redux Saga middleware. So by themselves, these effects are doing nothing. They are just giving us back an object, and when this object is passed back to the Saga middleware, it then accordingly acts upon them. So that's like one important point to note about. And one more thing, like which sagas are like really useful about, is how they manage promises. So whenever a saga comes across a promise, it will then pause itself until that promise completes itself. So that's like one key point to note. And let me just create a watcher saga now. So I'm going to convert this root saga into a watcher. So let's say this is our watcher saga, and let's say we have a yield of, so we're going to need some effect here. So so there's an effect called take every available in Redux Saga, and it listens to a particular action, and whenever that action is called, whenever that action is dispatched, our watcher saga comes into play. So let's say we have a root saga take every, and let's say it listens to an action and it's called hello, and whenever it comes across this action, it will then pause itself and let the worker saga take the rest. And we're going to create this worker saga. So let me just create another generator function here, and it's called function generator worker saga. Yeah, and let's just do a console log here just to see how things work. So let's say hey from worker, and now when I hit save, so right now like I'm getting nothing in the console from my sagas, and the reason here is that a root saga is running here, but it's kind of waiting in suspension until and unless an action hello is dispatched. So this take every effect kind of looks for that action. So let's dispatch an action and see if we are able to call our root saga. So after running the root saga, just in my store for demonstration purposes, I'll just dispatch an action here. So I'll just say store.dispatch and hello, which was the action that our root saga is listening on, and I'll just hit save. And we're getting some error here that actions must be plain objects, and the reason is because our action, what I'm dispatching here is a string, and we should actually dispatch an object here which has a type key of hello. So when I hit save now, we can see that we're getting hey from worker. So the store, we just dispatched an action of type hello on the store, and when this action was dispatched, our watcher saga, which was suspended at take every call, and it was waiting for the hello action, it just found that, and it invoked our worker saga now, and after that our worker saga took the rest. We can also check in the DevTools how the things went here. So first our application started. After that, an action of type hello was dispatched. So let's make this more interesting. Let's say we want to dispatch some more actions from a worker saga. So how do we do that? So for that, Redux Saga provides us another utility, another effect, which is called put, and it will let us dispatch actions. So let's say after my console log hey from worker, I want to dispatch some action. So I'll do yield put, and let's say I call it action from worker, and I hit save. Let's see what I get. So it's not a null, non-null object. So this is happening because again we are passing in a string, so we can convert this into an action object by having it as a type key. So I'm going to hit save, and we see like not much differences here. But if I look into my DevTools, and we can see that our action was dispatched. So first the application was initiated, the hello action was dispatched from the store into the store, and when our worker saga was invoked, it dispatched an action which is called action from worker. So this is the generic flow of how sagas are going to work like. And let me also show you how these actually look, how these effects look. So as I mentioned, that effects are just plain objects. So we can look into how an effect looks like by just logging it here. So if I log this action here, put, so I'm just going to copy this into my console here and log this for you guys. So we can see like we are getting an object here which has a key put, and then the relevant information for the Saga middleware. So these objects are intercepted from by the Saga middleware, and it then takes up the rest of the work from there. So Redux Saga like provides us with a whole bunch of effects, and we'll cover quite a few of them while building this application. So yeah, see you guys in the next one.